welcome to another green marble crochet tutorial. For this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this off the shoulder one seam unjoined with a button sweater. So I'm really happy with this design. I really love it. It's actually my new favorite sweater. Yes. This is the yarn that I used for my previous tutorial, so I took that apart. It's not that I didn't like the previous design, the bikini sweater, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't something I could see myself wearing in public. But yeah, so I took it apart, I've made this, and I'm very happy with what I've done. Plus I got to use the red button that I bought, that I really wanted to use. So that's what we're doing. Yes. Alright, we can probably just get straight into making this. However, if you haven't subscribed but you would like to subscribe to join me for some more tutorials, I would love to have you join me. A big thank you to my patrons. Thank you for your support. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching my videos. If you need to get in contact with me very quickly for anything, look for me on Instagram. I'm the_green_marble. And I'll be able to help you with whatever you need help with very quickly there. We'll do it together. Alright, let's just get straight into making this. Alright, now to begin, we're going to have a quick look at the tiny details on the label of the yarn that we're going to be using. So I'm reusing the yarn that I used for the last tutorial, because as I said in that tutorial, I wasn't the hugest fan of that design. Just wasn't something I was going to be wearing out. But I mean, as much as I liked it, and it is something that I'm going to revisit at some point, probably at the end of winter going into spring. But for now, we're going to be using this because I love this yarn. We're going to be using this for this design that I'm pretty sure I'm going to wear out in public. So this is what we're working with. And I've got 6 skeins of this, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using all of them. I will let you know, though, at some point. I'll probably have let you know in the intro. So here's... Now, the tiny relevant details are just here. So it's saying I should use a 6 or a 7mm hook, which is good, because I'm going to be using 6mm hook for this project. Also, I'm going to be attaching the button that I also mentioned in the previous tutorial. I said I was going to attach it to the last design, but just didn't seem any point in doing that. So I'm going to be attaching it to this one, and this design's actually specifically, it specifically includes this button, so this will be joined for this design. Not just saying things. Alright, so to begin, we're going to move all this aside. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to find the end of our yarn, and starting off we take the end of the yarn between the thumb and the index finger of our right hand, so like this, and then with the index finger and the middle finger of our left hand we're going to wind the working end around like this. Then grab hold of that working end and pull through a loop. And that's our slip knot. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust that knot to our hook. So just shove your hook through, just like that. And then you're going to grab the working end and pull tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with a chain of 100, and I'll be dividing that chain up into 34 for the front, 34 for the back, and 16 for each shoulder section. But we are going to be increasing straight away in all sections. So let's just chain first and then we'll get to it. So to make a chain stitch, it is yarn over, pull through the loop, yarn over, pull through the loop, so that's 2 chains, yarn over, pull through the loop, it's 3 chains. So we're going to chain 100 and then we'll meet back up. Alright, now here's my very long chain of 100. So because one, or I'm not sure on which side it's going to be yet, but because the shoulder seam at the front on one side is going to be open until the sleeve gets put in, we're not going to be joining any rounds until we actually join the seams for the sleeves. So until then, it's just going to be a back and forth from one side to the other until you've increased to the point where you can join the seams comfortably beneath your arms, just when you hold it up on yourself. Anyway, we'll get to that. So what we're going to do now that we've chained 100, we're going to chain an extra 2. So 1, 2, and those are going to be our turning chains. So counting those 2 chains back from the hook that you've just done, you're going to yarn over. We're going to be working in double crochets, so it's yarn over, skipping those 2 chains that you did just there, so not that one and not that one, but we're going to be working into that one just there. You're going to insert your hook into the top of that chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that's a double crochet. Now, for each row, you're going to be increasing into every second stitch and every second last stitch of the row. So obviously that's not including the increase sections in, anyway, we'll get to that as well. So for this second chain, because we're starting increases right away, into the second chain along, you're going to put 2 double crochets into the same chain. So 1 and 2 into that same chain. And because we're starting with 16 chains, so that's that second one, now you're going to count along till you've got to the 15th chain. So we've done 1, there was 2 into that second chain, but we're just counting the chains for the moment. So 1, 2, we've done 3, 4, so I'll meet you when you get to the 15th chain. Alright, here I am. So I've gone into 14 chains so far with 2 into the second. Now on that 15th one, we're going to be putting in another 2 double crochets into the same chain. So for the 15th one, 2 into the same chain. And then for the 16th one, so that's the second increase into this first shoulder section. And that finishes up the first of the increases into the first shoulder set. Anyway, so the next stitch, the 16th chain, that's just going to be your final stitch of the first part of this shoulder section. So what you're going to do now is you're going to, straight from there, chain 2, then put 1 double crochet into the next chain along. So the next chain along, that's 1 double crochet. Then into the chain after that, you're going to put 2 double crochets into the same chain. So 1, 2, and that chain is the second that you just put those 2 into, the second of the 34 for the, this is going to be the back, I think, back or the front, we'll have a look later. So that's 1, 2, 3 chains. I'll see you when we get to 33. Alright, so here I am at the 33rd chain of this back or front section. So what we're going to do into that 33rd chain is put 2 double crochets into that same chain, and then finish up, oh, I'm getting tangled again. Anyway, into, yep, okay, so we've done that into the 33rd chain. Now into the next one, the 34th, just 1 double crochet. Then straight from there, you're going to chain 2, put 1 double crochet into the next chain, then into the chain after that, it's 2 double crochets, and that's the second chain of the neck, or of this 16 for this shoulder section. So that's 1, and then you've got 2 into the second, then 1 into the third, and I'll meet you at the 15th. Okay, here we are at the 15th chain of this shoulder section, so we're going to put 2 into that chain. So 1 and 2, and now into the 16th chain of this shoulder section, just that one double crochet. And now we're going to chain 2. So 1, 2, into the next chain, just one double crochet. Then into the second chain, it's going to be 2 double crochets into the same chain. Oh, I'm crocheting my hair into this. 2 double crochets into that second chain, and that's the second of this lot of 34 chains, which is the last lot of chains till the end of the row. So I'll meet you at the 33rd. We'll do it together, and then we will have completed our first lot of increases and our first row of this sweater. Okay, so I'll see you at the 33rd chain. Alright, here we are on the 33rd chain, so the second last chain of the row. We're going to put our 2 double crochets into that chain. 1 and 2, oops, double crochet, 2, and then just 1 double crochet into that final chain. So there's our first row. There we go, there we go. Alright, so that's the following rows are going to be a bit different. So we're going to chain up 2, and we're going to turn the work. And the increases are going to be different from here. Obviously at the beginning and the end, it's going to remain the same. You're going to be putting 2 double crochets into the second stitch and every second last stitch. But when we get to the increases, it's going to be different. So straight from that chain of 2 and right beneath that chain of 2, you're going to be putting your first double crochet. So into that stitch just there beneath the chain of 2, 1, then 2 into the second stitch, so that one just there. And make sure you're going beneath both parts of that V at the top of the stitch. Hang on. See, there's a V on top of the stitch. You're going in beneath both parts of that. So there's going to be 2 into this second stitch, 1 and 2. And then you're going to be putting in just 1 double crochet into every stitch all the way up until this first increase section. So because of the increases that we've already done, we've increased by 2 stitches. So for the front and the back, there'll be 36 stitches that you're working with up until the first increase section. That's not including the second stitch that you put into the second stitch. Yes, that's what I meant to say. So because you put 2 into the second stitch, don't count that as part of the 36, obviously, until you get to the increase section. You're just counting the stitches that you're working into. Yes. So I'll see you at the increase section and we'll go through that together. Alright, now here I am at the first increase section. So I just also want to mention quickly that a good way to be able to tell which stitch you're going to be working into is that, especially before the increase sections, here's the body of the stitch just here. And because you're working into the unbraided side of the stitch, see if you turn it over, hang on, this might be a better example of that. So this is the unbraided side. If you turn it over, you've got the braid on the other side. But you're working into the unbraided side, so the stitch that that unbraided side corresponds to falls to the top left of the body of the stitch. So there's the body, and there it is falling to the top left, and that's the one you're going to be working into. So that's going to be my final of those 36 stitches for that first front or back section. Not sure which yet. Alright, so here we are, this increase section, this chain of 2. What we're going to do is we're going to put a double crochet into that increase section, so it's yarn over, go into that hole, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2 and put another double crochet into that chain space of 2, that increase section. So just like that. Just like that. So there we go, we've created our next lot of increase sectiony sections bits. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, so that's that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a double crochet following that rule, so the stitch that you're going to be going into, because you don't want to go into one of the stitches of the chain just here, you want to go into the one that corresponds with the body of this stitch, so that falls to the top left. And you're going to be putting a stitch in till you get to the next increase section. I won't go through it with you again. Just do the same thing you did here. So you're going to be putting a double crochet into the chain space of 2, chain 2, another double crochet into the chain space of 2. Continue your double crochets along till you get to the next increase section. I'm losing my voice, I need some water. Hang on. Yes, so yes, that's it. And then I'm going to meet back up with you for the second last stitch of the row. We'll just do it together, you know, and then I'll talk you through where we're going with this. Okay, see you soon. Alright, here we are at the second last stitch of the row. So we're going to put 2 double crochets into that stitch, so 1 and 2, and then just finish up the end of the row with that 1 double crochet into that last stitch. There we go, so that's the second row complete. And now we've increased by 2 stitches again for each section, so 2 for each shoulder, 2 for the front and the back. So at this point we're going to have 20 stitches for each shoulder to work with and 38 for the front and the back. And obviously these are increasing, well, yeah, obviously. So 2 into the last stitch, and this one is the increase for this shoulder. That's basically how it's going. So what we're going to do now is just chain up 2, 1, 2, turn the work, and just repeat the process of the previous row. So 1 double crochet into that first stitch, 2 into the second, complete the increases and all the double crochets along, and then you'll have 2 double crochets into the second last stitch, 1 double crochet into the last, chain up 2, turn the work, repeat. So we're doing this until the front and the back increase sections will be fitting comfortably beneath our arms. So I don't know, I had an idea that perhaps at the top just here where the chain is, the foundation chain, you could just join, get a piece of yarn. Where are we? Making sure you don't twist it, and you could just join the 2 ends of the top of that chain together so that when you try it on you can see how it would fit to begin with, and also that will give you an estimation of where the increased sections are going to fit comfortably. Muddling my words. Are going to fit comfortably beneath your arms, so the front and the back increase sections. And that's where you're joining for the sleeves. So, you know, I'll meet back up with you once we've done that. I'll show you how it looks. So just stick around if you want to see how that looks. Yeah, that's it. We'll just do that. We'll get it done. And then we'll meet back up soon. And we'll work on joining the increased sections. And we'll probably continue work on the body at that stage. Alright, see you soon once we've completed our increases. Alright, so I've now reached a point of increases where the front and the back seams fit comfortably beneath my arms. So for me that's been 7 rows. Obviously it would normally be more if the neckline was higher, but because this is a more off the shoulder design, didn't need that many rows. So that's good. Alright, so what we're going to do is, straight from where we are, we're going to work our way, where are we? We're going to, turning this way, no, hang on, yes, turning this way. We're going to work our way back to the beginning of the row, so just making sure to keep your stitch in that last stitch, working back to the beginning of the row, like this. And then what you're going to do is slip stitch into that very first stitch just there at the beginning. So at the top of that chain 2 at the beginning, you're just going to slip stitch to close the round. So there's that chain of 2, and there's that stitch just at the top there. So you insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that loop, and then pull it through that last stitch just there to slip stitch. So what we're going to do is make sure this is folded. So we're at this point that we've joined. This is obviously at the front. So it's the front seam of one of the shoulders. So you're going to, hang on a second, where am I? Okay. Okay, just making sure I get, okay, there we go. All right. So hang on a second. All right, I see what I've done. So what we're going to do, we've slip stitched, we've joined. Now we're going to chain up 2. So 1 and 2. Then we're turning. So turning all of that around. And now what we want to do is fold this in. So I'm going to angle the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. So we've chained up 2, we've turned, and now we're folding this in half so that here we've got the front and the back seams, which we can join just here. And we've also got this back seam just here with where we've joined just here for this front seam. So what we're going to do straight from that chain of 2 is we're going to, make sure you can see this. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go underneath that join. So just straight under the join like that. Then we're going to pick up this back seam just here, that chain space of 2, stick your hook through that, and then you're going to yarn over, pull a loop through that back increase section and beneath that join that you've just done. Then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So there we've just joined the front and the back section of this unjoined one. And later on we're just going to go to the top and join this and add the button. So what we're going to do now, straight from that join, is we're just going to move on to the stitches of the front. So just like this, you're going to put your double crochets in all along the front. There's no more increases. We're just joining at this stage. I'll meet you when we get to this lot of increase sections and we'll join it together. All right, now here I am with my double crochets all along the front just there. So now what we're going to do, I'm up to these increase sections, the front and the back. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, insert your hook through that front increase section, shove the yarn to the side just like this, pick up the back increase section, shove your hook through that back increase section, then we're going to yarn over, pull a loop through both of those increase sections, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I've just double crocheted those increase sections together. So now what we're going to do is we're just bypassing the arm for the moment. We're going to turn around to the back and we're just going to put double crochets if I can talk properly. We're just going to put double crochets all the way along the back, so into that first stitch just there, till we get to the end of the round, at which point we're going to close up. We'll do it together and we'll just talk about what we're going to do from that point. So just put all your double crochets in along the back and I'll see you soon. Alright, now then, here we are, and I'm about to put in my last double crochet of the round. So we won't be doing anything to the increase section just here because we already joined that just here. What we're going to do is we're going to look for that chain of 2 from the beginning. So there it is, just cat fur on my stuff. There it is just there at the beginning. And we're just going to slip stitch into that stitch at the top of that chain of 2. Hang on. Focus, come on, focus, there we are. So there's your chain of 2 and there's the stitch that you're slip stitching into to close the round. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to grow the length of the body to a length that you're happy with. So 1 and 2. You're going to chain up 2, you're going to turn. So messy. Chain up 2, turn. Now, don't put your first stitch right into that stitch beneath that chain of 2. Go into the next one along. So that next one along, not that one just there, but that one just there. That's your first stitch. So 1, and then double crochets all the way around, because your final stitch you're going to put into that connecting stitch just there beneath the chain of 2. That one just there is going to be your final stitch. Just there. So that's what you're doing, and then once you get to the end, you're going to slip stitch into the top of the chain 2 to close the round, chain up 2, turn, double crochets back in the other direction, and that's just how you're going to continue to grow the length of the body. And then once we've done that, we're going to meet back up and we're going to get working on just the sleeves. So that's pretty much it. And then all we need to do after that is join the top, that top unjoined bit, attach your button. I'm very excited because this button is just going to look so nice with this yarn. Finally, I get to use it. Alright, so let's do that. I'll meet you soon when we've grown the length of our bodies and we'll get working on the arms. Okay, see you soon. Alright, so I've crocheted one skein for the body. It's definitely not long enough, but I'll go back later depending on what I've got left, or I'll probably just go buy another one. Yeah, depending on what I've got. But anyway, what I want to do now is I want to join the shoulder seam with that button because honestly I'm just sick of looking at the way it is, and when I try it on I want it to sit properly, so we're just going to do that quickly. Alright, so I thread the yarn off camera just because the holes are really small and it was very tedious. I didn't want to, you know, fumble around with that on camera, so here we are. So that's what I've done. I've just, you know, cut a length, thread it through the button. So what I'm going to do is, taking the top of this unjoined shoulder seam, I'm going to grab my hook and just stick it around the post of that last stitch just there. So around that post, hang on a second. Yes, around that post just there. And then I'm going to grab one side of this yarn, pull it through. Then on the other side, just do the same with the other side. So stick your hook through the post at the end of the top of that side, and then just pull the yarn through there like that. Really basic. I mean, you know, that's all we're doing. And then I'm just tying it closed. Try and get those parts even, and I'll weave those in later on. So yeah, just tie a knot. Hang on, let's have a look. There we go, just tying that. I just wanted to show you what I'm doing. Obviously you can do it any way you want, really. It's not that much of a big deal. So that's it, there's the button. And I think that looks really good. So yes, I'll weave those in later on. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to find one of the sleeve holes. So we'll just go to this one. This one where we just joined that unjoined seam. So we'll do this sleeve. Now, what we have to do is we're working into the unbraided side of the stitch. So you see on that side, there's the braid along the top just there. Then you turn it over and there's the unbraided side. You just want to do that so that you're maintaining the back and forth continuity of the pattern as you go along. So just make sure you do that. Alright, so what we're going to do is finding that first stitch along from that increase section that we joined out. You're just going to stick your hook through that first stitch there. Then, finding a fresh piece of yarn, we're going to make a slip knot. And you can crochet that in as you go along. So just adjust that knot to the hook, pull tight, pull that through. And you can pull that through to the back of the stitch, just so it's not on the outside as you go along. So what we're going to do now is we're going to chain up 2, so 1, 2, and for me there's a stitch count of 30 for each sleeve, considering these 7 rows that I increased by. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our first double crochet into that same stitch that we put our slip knot into, so just beneath that chain of 2 right there, we're going to put our first double crochet. I'm going to meet you at the end of this row. We'll close up and do it together. Alright, so put double crochets in to every stitch all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. Alright, so here I am at the end of the round, just about to put my final stitch in just there to that stitch double crochet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find that chain of 2 from the beginning. We're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain of 2 into that stitch, just up there, slip stitch to close the round, And that's it, that's round 1. So moving on to round 2, and this is going to apply to the following rounds as well. So you're just chaining up 2, you're turning the work, and just like the body, the first stitch won't be that one right beneath that chain of 2. It's going to be the next one along. So that one just there, you're going to double crochet into that, and then double crochets all the way around. Your stitch count won't change. It'll just be the same for each one. And just like the body, because your last stitch is going to go into that connecting stitch right there at the end beneath the chain of 2. So that's it. And now all you're doing is growing the length of your sleeve till you're happy with it. I could possibly do 3/4 length sleeves for this. I'm not sure yet. I'll see what happens. Either way, I'm really actually quite happy with this design. This is definitely something I'm going to get along with. And it suits the yarn. So yes, there's that. We don't need to meet back up again, I don't think. So all you'll do for the other sleeve is exactly the same thing. You're just going to make a slip knot, stick it through the first stitch, chain up 2, double crochets round, and so on, growing the length. Make sure you grow the length of that sleeve to the same length that you're growing the length of this sleeve, so the same amount of rounds. And that's it. That's it. We can just go away now. We can do our separate things. You know, this is a nice sort of simple design that you sort of can get cozy, maybe listening to an audiobook or watching a movie. Just, you know, stick something on, have a nice time. Alright, we'll go away. I'll go away. And then later on, we'll come back. We'll try on our sweaters. We'll see how they look. I can guarantee they are going to look pretty good. Plus, you've already seen the thumbnail, so, you know, you be the judge. Okay, alright, I'm going to go. I'll see you soon. Alrighty, here is the finished sweater. Yes. So yes, as you can see, really quick, really simple to make. It's just all you're doing differently this time is not joining one of the shoulder seams and adding a button. But I love it so much. I didn't think it would be quite so off the shoulder. I think I could possibly have done less stitches to begin with in the chain, but I'm not unhappy with it. I love it the way it is. I really do. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this design. I hope you've made yourself a lovely sweater. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.